to audit the gaps in Ghana's democracy. That study culminated in a certain paper that was also referred to another committee comprising people like Professor Kwabena Agyarko, Professor Yauchumesi, Dr. Ahaji. They, in their further study of trying to audit the gaps in Ghana's democracy, generated a paper called Democracy Consolidation Strategy paper that generally argued that even though Ghana's 1992 constitution had served us well, nevertheless it contained provisions that were hindering the maturation of our democratization process. So they identified the gaps and made recommendations for constitutional review with a view to addressing the gaps. Now, one of the challenges that they identified in their audit of Ghana's democracy was about the fact that we have an Attorney General who is also the Minister of Justice. And they had argued that in the fight against corruption, it is oftentimes difficult for a certain Attorney General to be dealing or prosecuting his own other colleagues who are serving within the same government with him. And so the recommendation that was made then was the need for us to separate the Attorney General from the Ministry of Justice and then create an office that they were referring to as independent public prosecutor. An independent public prosecutor. In fact, if you read the Democracy Consolidation Strategy document, whose recommendations were bought into by Professor Mills and culminated in the Constitution Review, that was the recommendation that was made. You need to separate the Attorney General's office from the Ministry of Justice and then create an independent public prosecutor, not special prosecutor, independent public prosecutor. People had their own fears about it, that if you don't take care, this guy would also be prosecuting all your appointees and all that. But then that was the recommendation. Soon after President Akufo Addo became president, I think he was also privy to this conversation. But he was aware that in trying to separate the the Attorney General's office from the Ministry of Justice, and in trying to touch the prosecutorial powers of the Attorney General, it was going to require a certain constitutional amendment, and that particular Article 88 of the Constitution is actually an entrenched clause. So I think the easiest way out that he resorted to was to create the special prosecutor. And when this was done, some of us had issues with it. I mean, right from the word go, because we were juxtaposing the special prosecutor that had been created, its functions, with the provision in Article 88 that vests the prosecutorial powers of the state in the Attorney General. And so right from the word go, we knew that there were going to be problems. But, you know, Ghanaians were also tired of corruption. And so once you had a special prosecutor set up, and particularly what excited people in not delving or thinking deep into the problems that could arise was the appointment of the person in the persona of citizen vigilante. So people applauded that, well, I mean, with this man, no nonsense person is going to do the job. So that sort of blindfolded people into looking at the potential conflict that could emerge. And so Amidu left, Kisi came, and it's been on and on. I mean, I quite remember one day I was arguing that the special prosecutor was going to have problems because he was going to be working in the shadows of Attorney General. And somebody drew my attention to the fact that, look, their act says that even though they are going to be drawing their prosecutorial powers from the Attorney General, they nevertheless are expected to operate you know, in an independent manner. And I kept asking myself that, how do you draw your prosecutorial powers from AG and still be independent of the AG? And today, somebody has gone to court and he's gotten a judge to give a certain judgment.
Also, when the AG could even enter only prosecutor, even through your prosecution.
That is it. So somebody has gone to court and gotten a certain judgment, and I think now we are all awakened to the realities the realities of the conflict that right from the word go was created by the passage or by the setting up of the office of the special prosecutor. Look, this matter, if you don't handle it well, if you don't talk about it well, then you are seen as somebody who is now developing a cold feet against, in the fight against corruption. But the point is that reality is setting in. We are all tired of corruption. We want corruption to be confronted head on. But at the same time, we must also not blindfold or be oblivious of the legal contradictions and the realities that confront us. So an individual has gone to court, and this is a ruling.
Okay.
Are we now going to look at the court and tell them that they are wrong without seeking a review? So I think that, look, what has happened has generated a lot of public discourse on this. Anti-corruption crusaders, some of them are looking at things dispassionately. I can see some of them are also being emotional. That, no, I mean, why are you touching the special prosecutor? But I'm saying that we cannot confront corruption without looking critically about some of these legal contradictions that exist. Because if we blindfold ourselves to the realities, then we may be going a certain tangent. Somebody gets to the court, and then he throws sand into our gari, and then we are all disappointed. So I think that the consequences. The time has now come for us to all sit and look at things dispassionately.
Okay.
What are whether we want the office of the special prosecutor to operate in the environment of this legal contradiction? It's up to us to decide. The office of special prosecutor, in my view, has got the option of either going to the AG and getting whatever authorization so that he can continue his case. He also has the option to go to court to seek a review. But ultimately, it is important for us to appreciate the fact that you cannot allow this kind of contradiction to exist, particularly when we have not done anything about the prosecutor, about amending the prosecutorial powers, of the AG in a manner that gives it high set off to the special court. If we've not done that, then anybody can go to court, and once they get this kind of judgment, then you can't blame anybody. So the point is that we must be open about this, be dispassionate about it, and see how we can navigate, this particular situation in a manner that will not make us look like we don't want to fight corruption, in a manner that will not also make us look like we are seeing problems in terms of conflict of laws, and we want to pretend that because we want to focus on a particular tangent, that conflict should
on the matter of the authorization, Dr. Adam stated in that interview that according to him, said the OSP is not interested in coming to him for the authorization because the special prosecutor says that office is independent. That's according to Srem's side.
Well, but I don't know what the lawyers here say, but I think that to the extent that nothing, if nothing bars the special prosecutor from going to the Attorney General to seek clearance to be able to prosecute, then I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do that. It appears also that reading in between the lines, I think there's been some theft wars, but whatever is happening, the point must be made that the prosecutorial powers that are given to the Attorney General are quite entrenched. And you cannot just push it aside and pretend it doesn't.
That's why I started this conversation with the details of those two provisions, Article 88 and Section 4.2 of the OSP Act. You want to say something quickly?
So I respectfully, Prof, your statement that reality is now settling in, I think is far from the truth. I'd like to take you back to the Hansard of November 1st, 2017. And I want to point out to you that these issues were thoroughly debated. Ghanaians are not now waking up and finding that all of a sudden the wording of the Constitution is this and LI 2374 and we are hitting our heads. Not at all. So let me read a bit of the Hansard for you. And I would like to appeal to Ghanaians to spend time, go to history so that we don't seem to be reinventing the wheel all the time. Now, the debate regarding the authorization of the OSP as it had folded was as such. Mr. Banda, who was a proposer of an amendment to the Article 88 that we are looking at, he moved an amendment to insert the phrase that the OSP shall be authorized by the Attorney General. His rationale, his goal was to strictly tether the newly created Office of the Special Prosecutor to Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, which vests all prosecutorial powers in the Republic in the Attorney General. Then Dr. Dominic Aine, the pragmatist, what was his position? He supported the concept of authorization, but vigorously demanded that the method of authorization should be explicitly defined and structured. His rationale, he argued that since Parliament was using a statute to compel the AG to delegate authority to the OSP, there had to be a clear mode of delegation. He explicitly suggested using a constitutional instrument or a legislative instrument to spell out the jurisdiction, ensuring that the OSP will not be left in an administrative limbo. Then Prof. Mike Okwe, the speaker at the time, an independent purist, his position, he pushed back. He said that the entire concept of the OSP needs an explicit warrant or authorization from the AG to do his job. His rationale, he believed that an act of Parliament creating the office was authority enough. He delivered a prophetic warning that demanding ongoing or secondary authorization from the AG would open an unnecessary Pandora's box of co-ranto legal challenges demanding to know by what authority the OSP acts, whereby paralyzing the anti-corruption fight. Which position won? There was a structural compromise won. Parliament could not ignore Mr. Banda, and so the legal requirement for the AG's authorization was kept in the Act. However, to prevent the exact paralysis the Speaker warned about, Parliament adopted Dr. Aine's solution. They created a framework for structural delegation rather than requiring case-by-case permission slips.
Is that from the Hansard? You are interspersing with comments. Read the Hansard, they know.
Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
Get serious.
So the OSP eventually, and so I'm trying to say that to suggest that this is new.
Okay.
Read the Hansard.
To suggest that.
But I think it's instructive that you reference that a member of Parliament also raised the possibility of what we're even seeing now.
Absolutely.
With the co-aranto application that has resulted
in saying something different.
Yes, I'm saying we are all forgetting the history. Let's go back to the Hansard and see that this issue was dealt with. It is not that we suddenly woke up and then we are surprised. No. The issue came up, it was debated, and they agreed on a certain compromise. That compromise is what is reflected in LI 2374. So even if we are having this discussion now,
LI?
But the LI is
but just for the at least specifically, this point was made. Gentlemen, hold on. I want to hear one person. Listen. No, the constitutional provision. Hold on. This particular LI was referenced in the course of the engagement, and the compromise, so-called, that was captured in absolutely.
There. Because of Article 11 and the sources of law and the hierarchy of the laws, the question as to whether the LI supersedes the constitutional provision is one that also then. So then, how do you reconcile this position?
The Constitution says delegated by law. Do we have a law? We do. Act 959. Does that law empower the OSP to do what it's doing? Yes. Has it been repealed? No. Does it talk about investigation and prosecution? Yes. So unless we are saying that the Act 959 does not satisfy what is required by Article 88.
Exactly.
No, but that's not the case. It does satisfy.
It doesn't. If it did, the guard wouldn't have ruled that way. That's what the problem is.
But that's an issue of interpretation.
No, it's not interpretation.
No,
it's not
it's an issue of interpretation.
Thank you. On this, and we're making progress from the path that we are on. And this is why I bring it, gentlemen, hold on. This is why I bring Lawyer Martin Kpebu on this, because of the point that you just made about whether or not 959 actually cures this
88.4
situation that we're talking about. This is what 88.4 says. All offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him, in accordance with any law.
Yeah.
That is what 88.4 says.
Yeah.
And then I'll get to 44.2, section 4.2 in a bit, just to give us an idea of how. But does it really cure this?
Oh, it doesn't at all. Far from it. Can Abdallah do this? The Kisi Agyapong tape when he went to Parliament for the verdict. Can we play it? He himself said the thing had not been well done. Kisi Agyapong, please play the tape. If Abdallah doesn't have it, he himself said the thing had not been well done.
We'll record that.
Time. He himself said that it had not been well done. Listen, I agree with what Prof is saying. You see, the truth of the matter is that, look, cut to the chase. 88 cannot be amended through an act of parliament.
No.
But what happened was that corruption was killing us.
Yes.
So somehow we agreed that, look,
drowning.
It was a political settlement. Thank you that there's a political science professor here. This is what we call a political settlement. It's not that tidy, but at the time there was consensus that, look, let's do it this way, because we knew that getting constitutional amendment, look,
it was entrenched. You need a referendum.
Over a year, you will not get it. Yes. And you know, people's patience was running out. So it became like we just decided, like what we say, and they say, pass the law this way, let's go.
Having Martin Amidu in mind.
Excellent. So the moment Martin Amidu was given the position, was like Abena, yes, the angel. But we didn't know that beyond Martin Amidu, you bring people who have issues with conflict of interest. That is where, look, all these things, all these problems we're experiencing is because Kisi Agyapong worked for Ofori Atta, has a relationship with Ofori Atta, and allowed Ofori Atta to abscond. And other cases that he's spoiled, other cases abuse, arresting professors, arresting people.
This is abuse.
Oh, me, but I said make my own. It's because it's not corruption related. It's not corruption related.
Thank you. This is what 4.2 says. Subject to clause 4 of Article 88, which I read. The office shall, for the purpose of this act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offences. And you say this compromise that was in, how does it
back to 88.4? He still hasn't explained why he says Act 959 does not satisfy 88.4.
Yes. Okay.
So he needs to do that clearly.
Okay. So clearly, let's do this. And in the meantime, as I said, let Abdallah also produce this.
That will be pulled out.
Now let's take our time. Take our time.
President, it's not about Kisi. We are looking at the institution.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. By he himself. So it tells you that lawyers. No. It's very important. The office, the occupant himself says, "Hey, there are issues."
Kisi too could be wrong.
You are misquoting.
Kisi too could be wrong.
And you are in fact misquoting.
I want you to educate us.
Yes.
I want you to educate us.
Let's go. Let's focus
on the Constitution.
Look, let's go to 88. Okay. What the article says is that the power can be delegated. We agree. Currently, as we speak, it's been delegated to police. It's been delegated to GRA, SNET, Forestry Commission, electricity. Yeah, I mentioned police first. Many. So let's just say it's countless, right? But for these persons, what happens is that apart from their acts, there's what we call an executive instrument. You see, there is an executive instrument. So you hear EI5, etc. They are all listed in the judgment of Justice Eugene Nyante. So it says, listen, all these people, they go, there is a fiat, one-time document, or some say fiat, it's an EI, whichever, even if you call it a letter, is fine. But what the point is that there is another document, apart from the GRA Act, you see that there is another document that is given to GRA that go to court. Apart from the electricity laws, there is another document that is given to them. So what we are short of here is that after the OSP Act, that other document that we call fiat or you call it EI, the special prosecutor did not seek from the Attorney General. And what Senator read was, whilst they were in Parliament, they were looking at how to even avoid it altogether. But where you forget is that Parliament has no power to avoid it altogether. The power doesn't belong to Parliament. It says the Attorney General who can delegate. So Parliament cannot pull it out of him. And if you like, as I said, for me, I've not taken what an entrenched position. It's a debate. So if you like, I'm just speaking honestly.
Right.
If you like, you can say that. Gloria Kufu by initiating, being part of the bill, etc., is deemed to have agreed, consented, no problem. But then, after Gloria Kufu exited, long story short, today, Ayeni is in the saddle. In constitutional law, there's that principle that the executive acts of a previous government don't bind a successive government. There is a case in constitutional law, I think it's called the Ampita, basic constitutional law. Your executive decisions don't bind your successor. So when your successor comes, he looks at it, he doesn't like him. So I agree. You can say for Gloria Kufu's time, and for that matter, the whole of the NPP government, if any Attorney General try to go back, they will say, but it's your own government, so you agreed. But this is a different government, right? Ayini would not be taken to have been bound by Gloria Kufu. No. He cannot. So anytime you mention this authorization thing, it's that's how come when Trump took office, first day in office, he revoked a lot of the Biden things through executive instruments. Yeah. Through executive instruments. Trump reversed the renewable energies things, many things.
But we haven't seen a reversal from the government.
So now Ayeni's statement, very good.
So that's the point. Because he's talking about Article 30, Section 56. Those are executive instruments.
Section
Ministers
50.
and presidents can revoke.
Yes.
But the reason why Gloria went for an ally is, and especially what he's talking about, because with an ally you have to go back to Parliament. That's a much more comprehensive, extensive approach. So she was intentional. You can't just say because one president came and left, which is what will happen with an EI. So the LI is still subsists.
But the thing is that
so what you're saying is actually in contradiction to the fact.
No, Senator, that's not how we analyze it.
No, come on.
Wait.
We are going to Article 30.
Okay. No, it's not Article 30. Section
8. It forces you can delegate by law.
I referenced it for.
At the end of the day, you always get no way, Senator. It's tricky when you want to go back. You want to do another. It's not even called Article 30.
The law is not for lawyers alone. Yeah, and you taught me that one. You are the one who is.
But when you
I will face you with
carpenters not too long ago.
that one.
Please, let's not go down that road. Hold on. Let's not go down that road. LI is a substantive way of going about this. Don't talk about EIs when you have to hold on.
I asked a specific question, so conclude.
So let me go. You see, so the thing is that the Constitution is the higher authority. The LI cannot do the constitutional provision. The constitutional provision says the Attorney General may prosecute or he may delegate. That LI cannot undo the constitutional provision. And that's what Justice Eugene Nyante is saying. It cannot. So that's why I called it a political settlement. At the time, we're all happy with it. But we always knew that this day would come. It was a political, well, leave it, me, I don't mind, right? So, Serrano, let's get this. It's not, as for the office, let's be very clear. As for that office, I want it to remain. Look, let's be very clear. I want that office to remain. My only challenge is that Kisi Ejabin currently has too many things. No, we haven't finished. We are doing the analysis. Let's take our time.
I asked a specific question.
So we are analyzing last leg.
Let me explain
progress.
No.
Because of the internet.
So he's still not been able to explain it.
Oh, no, it's not for you to decide. We already read. Okay, I'll read it for emphasis. And then let's go to what he was referring to, please. He kept saying Article 30. There's nothing like Article 30. What he's referring to is the Act 30, the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act.
That is what allows for EIs.
Section 56 says that the Attorney General can give EIs, etc. Now let's stay here. But when you stay with the constitutional provision, which is amplified by the Act 30, what you get is this. That, so 88 for which you put in there. All offences prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law. So when you say authorized, so simple, I'm coming. Simple question. Just make it simple. Has Ayine authorized OSP? He says he is not. And I'm telling you that the LI you are mentioning,
Constitution does not say Ayine should authorize. Constitution says that AG.
Yes.
And the AG has done that.
The office has.
Act 959.
No, that's not how it's done. So it means
who says that's not how it's done?
Hold on.
Who says that's not how it's done?
I say so because I'm teaching you the law. You don't understand even the basics. You've been given a script to come and read. You don't understand the basics.
Hold on.
Where's the script? You've been given a script to come and read. We're giving you copy of. I will show you people you receive.
Let's get into the first answer.
Open your phone and I will show you.
Just explain it. Delegated by law.
And Ayine is saying that any other person.
Is there a law?
No. He said they didn't say law. He says in accordance. No, he didn't say education.
Exactly.
No, it's different. The two are different. The two are different.
It's not as a person in the Constitution.
Okay, General, you know what? Yes. You may have your personal interest to protect it, but want to do legally. And I'm correcting you that they didn't say. They didn't say.
Let me say something. Please, I asked the question. Let him conclude.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll move on.
Now lawyers want to take over and do detailed interpretation.
Make your point.
But the law is not only for lawyers.
Yes, we allow you to speak. But when you get to technical, we say stop.
No, not necessarily. It doesn't make lawyers right all the time. That one. And again, you are the one who taught me this. I'm just telling you.
When it gets too slippery, we say stop. You see? Okay. So let's come to where you say. It says that stop. It says any other person authorized by him in accordance, okay, in accordance with any law. And the Act 30 is an example of any law. And when you go to the Act 30, he uses a fiat and gives you that other paper. Remember, I'm saying that, look, all these things we are saying there, the Supreme Court can come and say that, listen, they are going with the Act. And they can. You can't fault them because that's what they think. Another person can look at it and say, no, once he doesn't see the fiat, that thing, or call it the EI, it is wrong. So for me, I'm not taking an entrenched position. I'm just telling you that it's not a one-size-fits-all. No, there are different positions. It depends on who has the authority. It all depends.
So there might be a solution.
So, and we're saying that, so, yes, let the Supreme Court decide. I'm not, but the forceful point I want to make is that we are where we are today because on the ground, there's a groundswell, okay, of opposition against Kweku Annan because of the bad governance, because of the things that are going on. No, let's make, otherwise we will not understand what
we were actually, we're having a progressive conversation. We will get there. I only asked specific questions about this issue
so
of what the position of the law is.
So it means that he's not the one who took that law to Parliament. Okay. So Ayine says it's not bound. And in constitutional law, there is that thing. So at any point, so let's make this final point. You see prosecutors prosecuting from the police, the forestry, SNIT, etc. Today, Ayine can revoke those executive instruments.
Yes.
Today. So why? So if Ayine can revoke, excellent. So how can Ayine be allowed to revoke the instrument by police?
But how do we?
And then as for OSP, he cannot.
Thank you. General, not Ayine.
Very good. So the final argument. Let's get this clear. If we follow what Senator is saying, we'll come to a conclusion that today Ayine can recall the executive instrument. Attorney General can recall the executive instrument given to police, SNIT, GRA, for all of them.
And but when legislative instruments can be...
Yes, but when it comes to OSP, they are saying that when it comes to OSP, that one, the INEC has no say. Then you are
I don't think that is it.
Thank you very much.
I'm telling you the conclusion.
Now that is... John Darko, say...
I agree.
Whatever you have said, I'm taking it out of your time because you keep coming in. Yes, I'm just not, and Senor as well. So you just hold your peace until I come.
I can be quiet the whole day.
I'll come to. Hold on, gentlemen. This is what the trial judge said, and this is what has actually been another matter of contention. Since by clause 3 of Article 88 of the Constitution, and this is called out of the ruling, the full details of the ruling, all of us have a copy of it, so we'll run through it. The Attorney General is responsible for the initiation and conduct of prosecution of all criminal offenses in Ghana. I hereby order the Attorney General to take over all prosecutions currently being handled by the respondent, that's the Office of Special Prosecutor, in the various courts, pending the submission of its application to the Attorney General for the grant of authorization to its officers by way of an executive instrument to enable them to prosecute criminal offenses. Then he goes on. Consequently, any convictions, if any, secured by the respondent, that's the OSP, as a result of the purported exercise of prosecutorial power, is hereby declared void. And I order the trial of the persons convicted to be commenced by the Attorney General, pending the response. That's all over again. Pending the respondents applying to the Attorney General for its officers to be authorized to conduct criminal prosecutions and the issue of the necessary executive instrument in that regard. In fact, he granted reliefs as well, and a cost of 15,000 Ghana cedis against the special prosecutor. Did the trial judge answer this question on the table with this particular ruling, or has created a lot more challenges with what we are having to deal with in the first place?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I think that the judge was completely wrong.
What do you say?
Especially this part of the judgment where he purports to declare all other convictions null and void, and order that the Attorney General takes control of all the other cases. Look, this is a high court. Now, another high court may have a completely different understanding of the provision he is reading. And that high court judge may decide that the matter continue because, in his belief, the OSP has the power to prosecute. And so for a high court judge to prepare to act as if he's sitting on the Supreme Court is for me completely unacceptable. High courts are courts of coordinate jurisdictions. He cannot order another high court judge to stop hearing the matter because of his misapprehension of this particular law. In fact, the judge, I don't know what he was on, because if you look at... No, I mean, that's it. No, I'm not running the judge down. I'm not saying. Hold on, gentlemen, hold on.
No, it's not an attack. It's just to make sure that Addo hasn't made his mark.
Hold on, gentlemen.
If you are making your point, slow down.
It is for me to tell him. It is for me to tell him to.
It's a question of profile. That Darko hasn't made his mark at the bar. The fact that you're on TV doesn't mean that
it is for him to withdraw. It is for me to tell him.
Slow down. You haven't made your mark at the back.
Hold on.
It's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact. That means you can challenge me.
The both of them now
Against Eugeniante.
Really? Is that how you're supposed to?
Yes. I just have to remind you so that you'll be humble. So that you'll be humble.
Listen, I think whoever is doing this to you, I think you need to.
I'm just reminding you so that be humble.
Because
so that be humble.
Somebody did something to him.
Ladako, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. Hold on.
I'll leave him.
Yes.
But here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is the earlier point you made about you don't know what the judge is on. That's what I want you to say.
Completely wrong.
Not getting to the personality of the judge.
And I fear for Martin, well, I'll deal with him later. I'm saying that if you look at what the judge said, look at page 21 of his judgment and the last part, just to buttress the point I'm making. After saying that this provision where he was making reference to other jurisdictions where we have special prosecutors and said that Ghana doesn't have one of them. And so he says that this is not the situation in Ghana, probably because Article 88 of the Constitution is entrenched. Yes, because there was a need to meet a campaign promise, some legislative gymnastics and re-engineering had to be done. This is a judge talking about a law passed by Parliament. Can you imagine? He calls it a campaign promise and some legislative gymnastics.
This is Obita.
Well, this is page 21 of his judgment. All right? And so I'm saying that what the judge sought to do was to run down the OSP, arrogate to himself powers he doesn't have, because he had no power to order that all the cases in those high courts should be taken away from the OSP. He doesn't have that power. But you know, I think that this whole OSP thing, we should understand the politics. And that is why people like my friend Martin Kpebu, they get so incensed. Because he mentioned we know the history.
I was just
everybody supported this office to fight corruption. Okay? Including all the people who are now saying that the OSP office is unconstitutional. And the OSP office functioned, and under an NPP government, okay, the OSP attacked NPP ministers, NPP functionaries. Okay? We called the president, so-called mother serpent of corruption. He did not collapse the OSP. But so-called apostles of Ora are the people who are clamoring for the collapse of the OSP. Those who claim they are apostles of Ora, they believe that OSP doesn't have the power to fight corruption. But here's the deal.
The authorization to prosecute cases, that's different from the fight corruption.
Because now they think that the OSP is now... Look, let me tell you why. The very day my brother Martin Kpebu was arrested, okay, that was the very first time that Kpebu and the majority leader came to Parliament and said that the OSP has outlived its usefulness and that they are going to bring an act of Parliament to repeal it. A week after, there was an act of Parliament to repeal the OSP Act. That was...
No, the private members...
The bill. They brought a bill.
Private members bill.
They brought a bill to repeal the act a week after Martin Kpebu had been arrested. They had seen that now the OSP was turning its eye on the NDC, so they had to do everything.
But it's lawyer Martin Kpebu and...
Okay, I'll leave that to it.
And was there a corruption case? Was there a corruption case?
So here's the point.
Was there a corruption case?
So here's the point.
You see,
so here's the point.
The bar.
So the NDC...
Is there a corruption case against
the NDC, we know what they are doing. Look at the case that was brought to the Supreme Court. A certain Noah Ephraim, who works with the current Deputy Attorney General, and Joyce Mutari Bawa, they are in the same law office. This gentleman brings a case before the Supreme Court, saying that the OSP office is unconstitutional. Guess what the Attorney General goes to say? They go and submit to judgment. That we agree with everything this gentleman is saying. This gentleman, if you hadn't known, that this gentleman was working with the Deputy Attorney General and Joyce Mutari-Bawa, you would think that it's just an independent person who has gone to the Supreme Court for interpretation. This is what we are calling settings. Okay? So it has always been the desire of this government. Now that the OSP is done with the NPP, they believe that the OSP is turning his eye on the NDC because there are a lot of things going on in their government right now. It is their wish to collapse the OSP, and that is what they have sought to do. So if you come to now, you want me to come to the 4-2 of the 9-5.
Okay, but no, Prof. I will give you that. I'll come to you.
You are not the moderator. You are not the moderator. You are not the moderator.
I'll come to you. Now, your microphone is off. So, the Honorable John Darko, because you reference, hold on. No, hold on. Professor Jampo, your microphone is off. Your microphone is off.
So now, please.
Your microphone is off. Your microphone is off. Now, when you referenced what happened after lawyer Martin Kpebu, when you referenced what happened lawyer Martin Kpebu, lawyer Martin Kpebu's arrest was not with a criminal matter. It wasn't a matter of corruption. Hold on. Okay, I'm coming. And then the second issue is, no, you continue. In fact, you have your time. When this private member's motion, the president then intervened. If you don't know. With the intervention of the president. Okay. That's what he said. Proceed. 4-2. This particular outcome. This particular outcome. This particular. Let's go back to.
It was a joint project.
Let's go back to 884.
Now, so this is the point.
Okay. Your microphone is off. You're not heard. So yes. No, you can. But go ahead, Mr. Darko.
So you see.
You speak. You continue talking.
When you look at the...
No, you cannot make
for example, I don't think that you're not helping.
Your salary will still be paid. The teacher salaries have been paid.
You are not helping.
Your salaries will be paid at the end of the month.
You are not helping.
The salaries of teachers will be paid. So you can afford to sit here and say these kinds of things.
Thank you, Mr.
At the end of the month, your salary will be paid.
Prof.
The teachers in this country, their salaries are not being paid. So you can sit here and say all these kinds of things. Yes, the teachers.
John Darko,
focus on the issue.
Let me.
Yes,
this is 884. You were referencing 80. What exactly has?
So here's the point. I believe that the OSP office, okay, as set up, is properly mandated to initiate proceedings. Of course, you understand Article 88, 3 and 4. We know, but the act when it was passed. And maybe we should all go back as we give everybody a chance to read. So subject to clause 4 of Article 88, the office shall, for the purpose of this act, be authorized by the Attorney General. Mm-hmm. And so by the creation of this act, the Attorney General, the OSP, had been given the authorization, one-time authorization, and that they did not need to go to the Attorney General's office every time to go and seek for clearance or authorization by the creation of the law. You understand? How is it that an office which was set up to be independent, of the executive, okay, be interpreted to mean that at every time they will have to go to the Attorney General's office for authorization before they can institute an action? How? The office was set up to be independent, and that is the most important thing. Look, the Attorney General today can be removed by the president without the president giving any reason. And the president can appoint anybody. Of course, that's the only constitutional provision that requires a lawyer. That he can appoint a lawyer to be there. Any lawyer to be there, to do the bidding of the president. That is not the case for the special prosecutor. The special prosecutor cannot just be removed. There are processes for the removal of the special prosecutor. So this office was created to give independence to the OSP, and that it did not require that everything the OSP will have to go to the AG's office for authorization. Section 4.2 gave one-time authorization to the OSP to prosecute cases, and that is why I think that the judge was completely wrong. Well, of course, judges make mistakes, And that is why there are appeal processes. So I think that there was a complete misapprehension of 4-2 and for him to require to see an authorization before a case can continue was completely wrong.
But you see, how does 4-2 take superior authority over 88-4?
Or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law.
Yes.
In accordance with any law.
So this
the OSP Act.
All offenses.
And the Act gives him the power. It gives one-time authorization.
Okay. No. Hold on. So, gentlemen, what is the... So, this is what 88-4 says. All offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana.
You stand by your sushi matter. This is the last time you use sushi on this table.
Please.
And that will sushi you.
Let's go.
What do you mean? Now, eh?
Hold on. Hold on, gentlemen. Let me, please.
Yes.
What we intend to do with this conversation is to establish... No. We have explained our opinions and then also suggest what has to be done going forward. What I don't appreciate is the interjections that I haven't allowed.
Exactly. When I'm speaking.
So this should not go on. Gentlemen, let's have a decorous conversation this morning.
Good.
Thank you very much. You reference 88-4, all offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law.
At 59.
So that's where you bring in at 959.
Yes.
But that's what I was asking. A 959 is an ally.
No, it's not.
No, it's not an ally. It's a law, but it's a law.
Act 959 is a law, just like Act 30.
It's also a law.
So,
but this is an
but this
which gives you
this specifically.
It's an ally.
So, but if you look at Article 11, the hierarchy of law specifically tells us exactly what law supersedes the other. So the Act cannot take subsidies over the Constitution.
Not the same Constitution that is differing to. Is it the same Constitution differing to any law?
Wait.
So that's the
I am
point.
with him.
Yes.
I'm not coming to you as yet.
At least on this guy is with me. So
We have here that.
Even Martin is with you.
Come to you.
This matter, Martin is with you.
So see, it is the Constitution that says that somebody can be authorized in accordance with any law. Any law. And that any law is the 959.
Mr. Okansi, simple point.
You understand?
Any law.
End your point. I'll come to you to whether or not what I'm saying is right or yes. End your point.
So I mean, I think at this point there's really no argument. I think that the judge was wrong. I believe that the Supreme Court will do the right thing when this matter comes before them, and they will interpret this in the line in which I am making this argument.
Okay.
That in accordance with any other law, it's the 959, and in the 959, the Attorney General has been, or the OSP has been authorized to initiate any proceedings.
So
okay, thank you. This is the point you disagree.
The Attorney General to always control his power. It's his. He gives it when he wants. No, he was here. He was here.
I allow this intervention. I allow this intervention. I allow this intervention.
So that is why
I want to hear. Hold on.
And go to a repeal process.
Mr. No, I'm not coming back to you again if you do this.
So that
please.
yes. So by the submissions of the Attorney General, etc. Remember, I've told you that this is look as we sit here.
So after that,
yes, you will.
Because now
you will have your point.
Look, we've told that there are this in different schools of thought.
Okay.
As we sit now, the established one. Look, the established one, the common one we are all using is called an EI. So it's for the first time that we're going to hear whether the Supreme Court will endorse that Gloria Kufu's allies and the Act can bind subsequent Attorney General. Right now, we don't have a decision that says so. Because
why do you need a decision? It's a law.
No, please,
any law.
No. But I told you that there's a fundamental constitutional There's a
I'm not
fundamental
coming to you again.
constitutional
I'm not
principle
coming to you
that
again. Yes.
a previous government's executive powers, etc., don't bind successors. And I'm saying the power to prosecute. Yes, the power. Very good. The power to prosecute is an executive power in the Constitution. So if you somehow go and put it in legislature, and that legislative then is not higher than the Constitution, you've not done anything. And that's why they say if you cut your tongue and chew it, it's an
constitutional power.
Okay, very good. So, but they do it through executive decisions. That's what I mean. So once it's in the Constitution, let's get this argument. I don't want politics on this matter. The Supreme Court.
You've always done politics.
No, I'm talking as a lawyer. Please, let viewers hear well. All we are saying is that under the Constitution, this 88.4 you see, it's saying that the Attorney General has the power to prosecute, right? Okay. It's his. And so, once it's his, we are saying today, he can tell all the police people, and we've been advocating that even we shouldn't let police prosecute, etc. Yes, so I'll just end in 3 sentences. So at any point, Attorney General can stop all the policemen today. He can stop all the state officers, GRA, etc. But you are saying that as for OSP, because you went and passed Act 595, he cannot stop. That's what you are saying. And we are saying that's not it. He can stop everybody. So once you appreciate that he can stop everybody, then it means that in Act 595, you've not taken away his powers. He only can allow it to continue if he wants to. And he is saying in this current suit that he has not authorized. So meaning that Attorney General is saying he wants to use
Thank you very much.
Sorry, but you can't take independence from the Constitution.
Thank you.
Go and amend the Constitution. And let's
so
be
you see,
careful. We want
that's section 4. Thank you. That section 4. Take a look at this. Take a look at this, gentlemen. Hold on. That's section 4.2 of Act 959. Cure this. Does it cure this matter of whether or not the Attorney General? Hold on. Please.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.